Welcome back to another episode of Let's Face the Facts. I'm your host, David Almeida. I'm an actor in Orlando, Florida, and every week I sit down with an actor or artist friend. We watch an episode of the classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. Then I hit record and we talk about the show and anything and everything else we feel like. This week, Matthew Arter is back. This is part 2 of 2 because we watched season 4, episode 18, Best Sister Part 2, which had an original air date of February 23rd, 1983. If you haven't listened to Part 1, listen to Part 1. It's funny to note that this typically happens, the second part of 2-part episodes tends to be a fairly short episode because once we get past all the pleasantries of starting things, it's just like, okay, let's just get to this. Let's get it done already. So it's not a very long episode this week, but that is never, I don't think, a bad thing. So I think we're ready to jump on in. Let's face the facts with Matthew Arter. That's good. And you know what? It's slimming.
In case you... Oh, you fucker.
What?
In case you spray it instead of say it. Covered myself in a bib.
You're putting on a bib, but you're not going to eat. I've got turkey and some raw vegetables, some red peppers, some Munster cheese.
And bread fresh from the refrigerator.
Nice and dry. And
what is that?
That's ranch dressing.
Okay, you are a woman. Women have a chromosome missing that can only be filled with ranch dressing. Can I have a side of ranch dressing, please? Women. Am I right, ladies? So stupid.
Matthew, it has been too long.
Yes,
My God.
Too long to get here.
Yeah. We are back. It is another week. Can you feel a brand new day?
I can feel it.
We have a show that we need to wrap the fuck up.
Yeah.
And
the synopsis for this one is Jan Brady still wants to become a nun. But now, so does Joe.
Yeah.
That's the synopsis. Joe and Jan Brady want to become a nun. Or a sister.
They want to become sister.
Yeah, because after spending a romantic weekend at a retreat, Joe and Meg want to become nuns.
A romantic, no.
They were clearly doing it.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. There are plenty of innuendo in the first episode about, I was playing with the furry things. Mm-hmm. I was walking down nature's path. Mm-hmm. Nature's path, also known as the vaginal canal.
Is that what they called it, the gynecologist?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to look in your nature's path.
I'm going to take a walk up the nature's path with my 2 little fingers.
Okay. Stop. We need to... This is a classy fucking podcast.
Thank you.
And you're tainting it.
Giggity. Which I did laugh out loud when you were saying you recorded the 69th show or something.
I said, yes, on 69. That's my giggity.
Daryl said nothing. You go, giggity.
You feel me. You get me, Matthew.
I love to. So this episode opens real weird. Like, Joe has come back from somewhere, and she made a vase.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Joe is suddenly a potter.
Yeah, because she was suddenly a gardener with their winter garden where she was made her bok choy. It's like, what the hell? It's like, well, we made her want to be a nun. Pretty much we got free reign to do anything now.
Now she's a potter, and she has...
made a vase for her mom, and it took her a long time to get it right, and it was through God's help she was able to complete it. And so with this vase,
Ivy wed.
Tootie and Natalie are like, let me see it. No, let me see it.
Yeah.
And you know what? You better be sitting down, fives of listeners. And that includes you, Cat C, my Tutti Frutti Lovely. Because they fight over it, and the vase ends up falling on the floor and breaking.
Stop it.
I know.
Who does that?
It was
so stupid.
It's like, I would say it was contrived, but it would be an insult to things that are actually contrived.
Yeah. It's awful.
So
but
bad.
luckily, and by the way, do we ever really find out what happens to that vase? Like, nobody rushes to clean it up.
Nobody sweeps it up. I think.
Or anything.
Yeah, Joe like kind of picks it up and.
But nobody
weird.
gets a broom.
No.
Like, you would need a broom.
You'd
for
think,
what happened.
wouldn't you? You'd think.
I did like the close up of the floor, though.
Oh.
Like, interesting, like, to see what the floor looked like.
What did the floor look like? I don't remember.
1982.
It was just peel and stick tiles.
Yeah,
and
basically,
wax floor.
yeah.
I mean, like you'd expect on any
Like
cafeteria.
a mop and glow, perhaps, had been used on it.
Mop and glow.
But everything is saved when hello Jason walks in.
Yes.
To my life.
But before that happens, Joe, when the vase is broken, as angry as we are over the contrived situation, Joe blows a gasket. Yeah. And she screams, "You are so stupid and clumsy and God will forgive you someday," kind of a thing. It's suddenly like, now everything Joe does has to be, I'm being my natural self and then applying an unnatural God filter.
Correct.
Blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then in comes Jason. Yum, yum.
Yeah.
Played by actor John Caliri.
Uh-huh.
Caliri. Caliri. Sometimes billed as John, John. Sometimes Jon. Sometimes Jonathan.
Oh.
He has 12 credits between 1981 and 1986.
That depending on which porn he's in.
Well, I haven't looked at XTube yet, but the Greatest American Hero, Diff'rent Strokes, Chips, T.J. Hooker,
What'd you call me?
V, Hill Street Blues, TV movie High School USA.
Oh, remember that one?
I think so, and
That
I
was
don't
Michael
remember.
J. Fox and Joe.
Oh, okay.
It was one of those
So maybe he was
where they
really...
put all the casts of like all the shows into it.
Yep. And he also had an episode of your favorite show, Double Trouble.
What the fuck is Double Trouble?
And he was a series regular for all 20 episodes of Square Pegs. He was on Square Pegs.
Oh.
And I know you're not a fan of that. I never really watched that
He
show.
had to look at Sarah Jessica Parker in puberty. Woof. Yikes. It's hard enough to look at her now. Mm-hmm. Thank God that very straight pussy-loving husband of hers loves it.
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
Are you saying there are rumors that he might not be a heterosexual?
Why are you spreading these rumors and why haven't I heard them? How dare
I'll
you.
just stop eating if I'm going to talk. The trouble is I'm liking the food too much right now.
So Jason shows up and he is just handsome, as cute as
Looking
little button.
good.
Yeah. I'm like, I'd drive to Yale for that.
Yeah, true. I don't know how they met. Don't really care anymore. Yep.
I let him walk on my nature's path.
But yeah, he didn't have the mumps. It was just swollen glands.
And if your glands are swollen to the point where people think you have the mumps, why couldn't it have just been the flu?
Yeah, agreed. Or an infection or something.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Just why do they have to go with the mumps?
I
It
agree.
was just swollen glands. If honest to Christ,
Yep.
that
Nope.
was just a bad choice.
Yeah. So a funny line where it's like, he says, "Well, let's go." I apparently he rides a motorcycle too. So he took his bike. He drove. He took his bike there all the way from New Haven, which is about an hour and a half. I did research, and he was like, "I just was imagining us riding on the bike together, and you holding your arms around me, holding me tight." And Joe's kind of like, "Yeah,
You're a guy.
I can't." I can't do that anymore. And he's like, "What?" And she says, "I'm going to become a nun." And his response, "Was it something I said?" I like it. I'm on board. Gimme. That's a joke that works for me. But he says, "Looks like I got a long ride back to New Haven." Looks like I got a long ride back to New Haven. And part of me is just kind of like, well, that's why you call first. Sorry, no sympathy, bruh. You could have called. They
And
did have
also,
telephones.
I'm sure there's an adult bookstore or two along the highway for you to stop off.
But Joe, as he leaves, Joe says, "Drive carefully and bless you." It's like, oh my God, that sounds so wrong and unnatural coming out of her. And then Natalie, hornbag that she has been this entire saga, she was like, "So what are you going to teach? You know, you're going to this place. What happens there?" She's like, "Well, it's instruction in classes, in faith, in chastity." And Natalie's like, "What? There's classes in chastity?"
Well, when does she Blanche? When does Natalie? She goes, "Bless you," and drive safely and bless you. And Natalie says, "Doesn't it bother you that that's the most you'll ever say to a man?" Or something like that. Like, she's really concerned about Joe's not going to get to have sex at her camp.
True.
But
And
I like it.
but
And this really is some of Natalie's best work, I felt like, in this episode. Like, the way she's
horny Natalie
interjecting.
is funny.
Horny
Yeah.
Natalie
Horny-
is funny.
yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. But she's like, "Don't you want children?" And Joe's like, "Oh, you'll all be my children."
Yeah.
And she said, Natalie, great Natalie line, "Don't you think, is this really a good match for your personality and your temperament?" Beautiful cover. Beautiful cover. Because it is. It's just like, you a mean bitch. And granted, Joe does say that one of her, I don't remember what the response is, but honestly, there are people who went to school with nuns, like you hear that some of them are ball busters. Like they are tough old broads.
Nuns are bitches. I was Jewish growing up and going to a Catholic school. So talk to me about hatred from nuns. Oh my God. The nuns hated
Wait a
me.
minute, wait. You were Jewish?
Going to a Catholic school.
Are you Jewish?
And I was going to a Catholic school.
Okay.
Nuns hated me. The priest loved me, but the nuns, not so much. I found out at a real early age what I'd do for a Klondike bar. I remember one time I was cleaning the rectory, if you know what I mean. And some guy's on his way to confession. He says to me, hey, kid, what does the priest give for a blowjob? I says, usually a Coke and a Snicker bar.
Oh, stop.
But yeah, nuns are bitches. But
Yes.
you knew your state capitals at the end of the year.
Yeah, damn straight. You knew your penmanship was fucking on point after they beat your palms and your knuckles.
They will whip out a ruler so fast.
Now, does it make sense that Joe went to a school with nuns? Like, to go to a Catholic...
A Catholic Italian from...
Polish. She's Polish from the Bronx. I mean, it's affiliated with the church, I assume. If you attend the church, can your kids go to the school? Do you have to? I mean, you got to pay for that, right? That's an extra add-on.
They used to call it parochial schools.
Public, private, and parochial. Yeah, but those. You had to be donating money to the church. That shit wasn't free, was it?
I don't know.
Listeners. Maybe Lisa M. Maybe one of our Tutti Fruttis.
I wonder if she went to Catholic school.
Possibly.
At the age of 6, I wasn't really concerned with my parents' financial situation, so I just went to where they told me I had to go every day.
So, it turns out it was a factory.
Yeah.
But
So this is where they get into a little bit of a discussion with Blair enters. And she looks great, by the way.
does she though?
Wearing her uniform.
Yep. Slim. That fat farm they forced her to go to really did the trick.
And she has a question about where's Meg. And Joe's back. Joe's here and everything. Because she and Meg still haven't talked yet, right? But the thing that comes up, because Meg's come back now, hasn't she?
Yeah. With Mrs. Garrett.
Yeah.
Okay, Blair comes in saying, "Where is Meg?"
Yeah.
And it's like, well, she's not here yet. And Joe says, "I'm glad you're going to be talking to Meg. I prayed that you would," and he listened. So then shortly thereafter, Mrs. Garrett and Meg come in together because they were off at St. Martha's. donating her car, donating her MG, which is actually a car. It still is, and they still make them. Just never seen one.
Wouldn't know if I had.
And so they donated the car. Even though Blair, on 2 occasions now in the past, I've said, why doesn't Blair have a car at school? She's rich as fuck. This to me was perfect. I was like, Blair, take the goddamn car. Yeah. It's free. Jeez. Surprised Natalie wasn't there saying that. But so when Meg arrives, the weirdest thing happens is that even though she's with Mrs. Garrett talking about this car and stuff, Blair is seated at sort of an upstage table a little ways away. And there is nothing said, no hellos, no pleasantries, no acknowledgement. Even though it is like the express purpose for Meg coming here is she needs to talk to Blair. That is the sole purpose of her presence. So it's like, what? So it was just weird blocking wise that there wasn't even an acknowledgement. And it's not until Joe says, this is the point where Joe says, Meg, I officially want to follow the same path. She hadn't really told Meg that before. So this is where she says to Meg, I want to become a nun. I want to do what you're doing.
Bow, chicka, bow, wow.
No.
Yeah. Back to the retreat, Joe.
No. So Meg says, yes, Joe, Mrs. Garrett filled me in when we were donating the car. Yeah. And I'd like to talk to you about that. And Blair's response from the peanut gallery in the back of the room where we haven't seen her yet. Blair's, I'll bet you would. And
comes up and does the Uncle Sam. You're recruiting now.
Yeah.
And accuses her. And she, I don't like that presumption or whatever. And she says, it's not that, it's an accusation.
Yeah.
And then she does the Uncle Sam. Lesbian nuns want you. Like, or whatever she says.
Joe is like, what do you mean? No, the weekend was a revelation. It was like a lightning bolt. And Blair is just being a total see you next cunt.
Oh.
And so, yeah, the recruiting stuff, the wasting Meg, you're wasting your life. Don't waste Joe's. And Meg is like, okay, I'm out, bitch.
Blair's very worried about her girlfriend.
Yeah. Meg says, I'm leaving. And Mrs. Garrett, I'll take you to the train station. It's like, Mrs. Garrett, this would be kind of a moment for her to say, Blair, stop being a cunt.
Get involved, Edna.
She's surprisingly...
She says the whole time can't be bothered.
surprisingly peripheral to this whole thing when this is... We are approaching DEFCON 5 here.
Yeah.
And...
that is one of my biggest notes coming up.
Yeah. And...
so she tries to explain that it's not a lightning bolt, and Meg is like, it's like a calling, blah, 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 and then does the perfect sitcom thing, turns her back on everybody.
Turns her back, yes.
To talk about the calling.
Yeah. So Blair is still harping on, Meg can just come and go, and does whatever she pleases. Why haven't you been home in over a year? And finally Meg says, I haven't been home in a year because of my parents. They never left me alone, and they locked my bedroom door at night. And Blair says, well, yeah, because they can see that you've been brainwashed. And Joe intervenes and says, we are talking about God. And Blair, top of her lungs, I'm sick of talking about God. If there is a God, prove it to me. And Joe punches Blair in the jaw.
She hit her.
Cold-cocked.
She assaulted another student. Let's just let that sink in.
Yeah.
In 2020 terms.
Yeah.
This girl assaulted another student.
Yeah. Not without provocation.
I'm just going to leave it there.
But I'm just saying, yeah.
Blair got cold cocked.
Yeah. And that's it. And after she hits her, the whoa aftermath.
Followed by way too long of a cut.
Way too long of a cut. Blair stands up and turns her back to Joe.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't know she ain't going to hit you again, girl.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Garrett looks on.
Doesn't do a thing. In
Nothing.
the 45 seconds between the hit and the cut to commercial.
Oh, my God.
Edna doesn't do anything.
this would have been, I mean, we needed to cut the commercial.
You are suspended or expelled.
Yeah,
you
for
have
that
just
shit.
assaulted another student.
True that. And that's the point when...
It is never addressed again.
No, never.
Nobody is concerned.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Blair got punched.
This is just a little fight between friends.
Really, Edna?
But, yeah. That would have been, in real life, in real terms, that would have been like Edna would have grabbed Joe by the fucking ear.
Thank you.
And said, get in that kitchen. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Just hit her.
Man. But
that
to their credit,
bothered me a lot.
To their credit, though, the build up to it, Lisa Welcho, I mean, the performance,
yeah,
it did not feel unprovoked. But wow,
yeah,
holy shit! I mean, this is like a whole different thing in their friendship and their love relationship. No, they're not in love. Stop.
Like
you're getting to me, Matthew. You're getting you're getting in my head.
You're getting into your nature's path. Am I right, listeners? Yeah, I had a real issue with that, and that issue remained with me for the rest of the show. That not once did they have a conversation about her punching, and how that's not cool.
That's not cool. And it could have been the whole. If there was ever proof that you are so not fucking ready for this.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of, it's interesting how that could have been a tool, but
Here's
it wasn't.
Here's a learning moment.
So then we come back from commercial. We're in the bedroom. Mrs. Garrett is icing Blair's jaw. Tootie's making jokes. Tootie's going, whoa, she decked you. Whoa, she clocked you. Whoa, bitch slapped you, threw down. And
a source of comedy. The assault has become a source of comedy.
Exactly. It's just so wrong. And Blair is concerned about whether it's going to bruise. Even Blair is not... I am not happy with Joe all the time, but we are still friends. My fucking friend punched me!
And how many times has Blair Warner been in a fist fight?
I mean...
The first time you get punched, you're like, what? Like... That had to shake Blair up, like to get punched.
Well, no, she got punched in season 1. Remember when Julie?
A lot.
Remember when Sue Ann and Cindy were suddenly best friends at each other's throats, and a swing is taken and they miss and accidentally hit Blair. Blair gets caught in the crossfire. So remember, there's Blair with the black eye and putting a bedazzled eye patch over her black eye. That was season 1.
Okay.
So Blair's an old pro at being.
She can handle a fist to the face, I guess.
So this is the point where Mrs. Garrett now says, Blair, we need to talk. It's like, yeah.
Blair is in more trouble for questioning God than Joe is for punching another student.
It's true. So true.
They really make Blair out to be the villain in this episode. And simply because she's questioning God. How dare you, Mrs. Garrett? How dare you, Eastland School? Oh, it's this. And I'm sorry if you lose listeners for it, but I am not a religious person at all. But I believe you should be allowed to. Sure, go ahead, have at it. But I just cannot believe how much trouble Blair is in for yelling, "Prove to me there's a God!"
Yeah,
No, oh, God, it was really getting my little agnostic heart just pumping.
One of the nice lines Mrs. Garrett says is, finally, and this is like, you could have said this on Friday. Don't you think your anger is somewhat out of proportion to the situation? Why are you reacting with such a vengeance? And then we get the sob story.
Yeah.
Blair prayed and prayed and prayed, asking God to help her, but he didn't. The next morning, that was when her parents got a divorce.
1973.
1973.
So, how old is Blair?
She is now 18.
How old is Lisa Welcho?
19. So this is 10 years ago, because we're in 83. 73. So this is 10 years ago. So when she was 8.
Because Blair was born in 1963. So this was 83.
Correct.
So she would have been turning 20 this year.
How do you know Blair was born in 63?
Because that's what it says on the interwebs. And she's a close personal friend.
Blair...
okay. Lisa Welch was born in 1963.
Right. And this is early 83. She would be about to turn 20, but at the moment she's 19.
Okay.
But Blair is 18.
All right.
So it's when Blair was 8. And Mrs. Garrett says, I know it hurt you terribly. But when the girls are having family problems, they come to you. You know how to help them. Maybe some sense can be found from that. And she says, if you're angry with God, that's between the two of you, but that's no reason to take it out on your sister. And she says, what if I told you, Blair, you couldn't be an art major and you couldn't go to college? And Blair's like, what are you talking about? I would say, screw you and go fuck yourself. I'm paraphrasing. And it's like...
Which would be worse tthan punching you in the face, apparently. It's the lesson I've learned from this episode, Edna.
But it's like, is Blair going to do art? Is that really where we were headed with Blair? We know that she had artistic tendencies. We know she paints. We know she did the sets for the South Pacific. We know that she has some artistic inclinations, but it was just kind of like, I didn't ever gather that was the path. Mm-hmm. The way Natalie is a writer, the way even Tootie as the actress hasn't really been fully cemented yet, but it's about there. It's just about there.
And later on, doesn't Blair become a lawyer?
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, the moral of the story, nobody has the right to tell anyone how to live their life or what is going to make them happy. Now, punched girl, get down there and start apologizing to people.
Yeah. Now turn around.
Yeah.
Put some ice on your jaw and go apologize to the girl that fucking punched you.
Yeah. Well, no, she wants her to apologize to Meg, granted. Mm-hmm. I mean, the punch was bad, Matthew, but Blair really still is. When it comes to Meg, Blair is really the villain.
All right.
Really.
I get it, but
that doesn't...
I don't think she should have been punched.
Yeah. So we're in the cafeteria. And we do have a funny moment, inappropriate funny moment, where Tootie and Natalie and Joe are there. And Tootie and Natalie were like, you fucking punched her. Mm-hmm. And Joe is thinking, she's like, I've been praying about it. God is going to forgive me. Like Joe is like, justified it. Woo!
Yeah.
Where's a juicy fruit? But Meg is just hanging in the back looking out the window. And part of me is just like, so, good thing you don't have to be anywhere at a certain time. You can just kind of hang out and wait. But Joe says she's going out. I got to think. And then she goes. And then Blair finally is, I want to talk to Meg. And Blair finally is starting to talk some sense. I admit I was a little judgmental. And then Meg says, well, I was acting a little like Attila the Nun.
Ha!
I'm sorry. And she apologizes. I want to be like, no! Meg, you owe Blair nothing. You do not owe her an apology. You should tell her to go fuck herself. Really? It's like, no. It's not. Anyway. Blair does admit that morning she called Meg's father and mother. They are on their goddamn way.
Right.
And she says...
Blair is wearing the most horrible outfit. It's just this gray. She looks like with check top and a Dorothy Michaels skirt. It's just awful.
Yeah. But,
That's what I have to add to this scene.
Par for the course, really, for this show. So she says, you better get out of here before they get here. I mean, do you want to go through all that again? And Meg says, well, no, but... clearly somebody wants me to.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God, actually. Mm-hmm. But, and they says, like, are you sure somebody doesn't want to take you to an earlier train? And she says, no, I'm going to stay and trust that he'll give me the strength. So Blair starts asking some questions like, are you telling me that you haven't prayed for something and not gotten it? Didn't you feel disappointed? Yeah. Didn't you feel betrayed? And Meg says prayers and promises don't always work. And then Meg says, look, you bargain with a used car dealer, not God. And then Blair says, well, if you can't pray for what you want, what's the point? And she says, you hope for what you want. You pray for God to do what's best. And for some reason, that resonates and the tide turns with Blair. I'm not sure the line is strong enough to warrant that, but okay. And so she says, you mean you just trust him? And this is their moment of connection. Mm-hmm. Then Mrs. Garrett comes in and says, all right, break it up. Let's get ready for dinner and let's let Meg and Blair have some alone time. And Blair to say, I'm tired of being angry. And no sooner do we kind of have this little moment, Jo comes in and she says, I have something to say. I hit you. I talked to God and now I know he wanted me to do it. It was his will.
Yeah.
Meg says, well, your will and your fist. Don't use God to justify your behavior. And you don't catch the Holy Spirit the way you catch the flu.
Or the mumps.
Yeah, you see? Right there.
Jesus.
So, but Jo was like, but I had the feeling. I had the lightning bolt. And Meg says, well, it wasn't a lightning bolt for me. It was more of a hunch. And she says, I don't know how I was sure, but I was sure enough. And I'm still not 100%. That's what the next few years are for me to know that this is the right path for me. And Blair says, oh, so you do have doubts about this. And Meg does say something to the effect of, yeah, and I'm, God, I'm so awful at synopsizing this because this scene is so fucking static. And she says, yeah, I'm willing to admit I have doubts when I'm not backed into a corner.
Yeah.
Meaning, when you're not a cunt, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. But
tell me something else. This scene is so static and talky, I'm boring myself with the synopsis and the tedium of reliving the moments. And what?
Well, two things happened that I noticed. What handed is Charlotte Rae? Is she left-handed?
Lefty. She's a lefty.
Because her watch, I noticed her watch is on her right wrist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
second of all,
accurate.
When she takes Tootie and Natalie into the kitchen and pushes them into the kitchen to give Meg and Blair her right time, that is when the microphone shows up above them.
You see a boom?
Yep. You see the boom, and then you see the shadow of it for it's probably less than 2 seconds, but you see it. And it pops up, it pops in, and then you see the shadow of it on the wall. Yup. Boom. Mic drop.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Boom.
We'll quickly zoom in, yeah. Huh. Didn't even see that.
It's
very
much
subtle.
More visible
Wow.
on my Roku version of it. It was, I don't know why.
Interesting.
Differently.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's that.
But the it just ends with talk and blah blah blah.
Yeah. And then I have the last thing I wrote down was she gets her to stay for dinner. Yay, cafeteria food.
Yeah.
Like I'd be
La
like,
Choy canned chow mein. Yeah.
My sister's here. How about I take you out to dinner?
Yeah.
Clearly it's a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Or no, it's Monday now.
It's Monday now.
Okay, so,
yeah.
Well, Blair has to work then. It's
yeah,
but it just is like, I'll stay for dinner. I would have been so perfect to be like, I'm going to have enough shitty food for the rest of my life because I'm going to be a nun. So,
yeah.
I'm going to stop by the Mickey D's on the way home.
Yeah, couldn't take me to Applebee's or something.
Jesus God.
But finally, Jo and Blair are left alone. And Jo does apologize. Mm-hmm. And then Jo does say, I don't want to lose all these feelings. I don't want it to disappear. And Blair says, it won't. And Jo says, how do you know? And Blair says, I just know.
Let's get it on.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very, like, let the air out of low energy ending.
It went from like 90 to like 0.
Yeah. The second act of this half is really kind of a snore.
I felt like they had so many more minutes to fill. Like, you know, they were like, oh, we need another minute and a half.
Yeah.
And then they had to write another scene. It's just,
Yeah.
it becomes...
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Maybe it would be interesting for someone with time in their hands to see if they could do an edit of this and edit it down to a half an hour. But last
22 minutes, was it 22?
25.
25?
Yeah.
All right.
But last thing to just point out, when we did build up to the punch, Blair saying, I don't believe there is a God. If there is a God, prove it to me. How ironic to be coming from Lisa Whelchel.
That is what I wanted to end with.
Okay, let's go there.
How brilliant Lisa Whelchel's acting is, because her character, the actress of all the actresses, is the most vocal about her religious beliefs. Mm-hmm. So for them to write this for her and for her to be like, let's do it. Mm-hmm. Like, and I believed her. I believed
Oh, God,
Blair,
yeah. I did too.
It was interesting to me because she is so vocal about it. And she's so devoted to the Lord.
And said, write me out of the
Virgin episode.
Which is season 9.
I believe that's called Nat Loses It.
Lose it? No.
Yeah. No. Yeah?
No. It's not called that.
Nat's Nature Path, I believe it's the title if you're looking for it on IMDb.
If you are, yeah. But the deal is, I believe it's called The First Time.
Yeah.
And it was also the first time Lisa Whelchel went, get me off the show.
Yeah.
Write me, don't even, like they wanted it to be her. And she was like, number 1, fuck no.
Yeah.
Number 2, I don't even want to be a part of it. And she has in later days, in more recent times, talked about that. And she sidestepped it very nicely with it being I'm a Christian, I don't believe in having sex before marriage and blah, blah, blah. She said it was such a big topic and such a sensitive topic. And to try and cover all of that in 25 minutes, I really didn't know that we would be able to do it justice.
Yeah.
So sidesteppy is, I didn't trust the fucking writers. And she was not wrong. Just saying.
I can't wait.
That's so. Do you know how far away that is?
Yes.
Do you know how far away?
Yes.
But and otherwise, let's pick this up. Let's go. Right. Let's get pizzazzy and give it some vim and vigor and verve.
All right.
Give me another commercial.
Good night, everybody.
No. Commercial.
What? Well, something that made me think of while I was listening to podcasts on double speed, I was remembering those Micro Machine commercials.
Micro Machine?
Mm-hmm. They were little Hot Wheel cars, and the guy that was on the ad was one of those fast talkers.
Oh, yeah.
People, and he was like, blah, 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 Micro Machines. And that's all you could really understand the word he was saying.
I vaguely remember that. I'll have to find it, and I will post it.
And he became famous.
Yeah, he was on That's Incredible. He broke the world record on That's Incredible. He was known for that, and he had a couple of movie and TV show appearances. And I think Candid Camera hired him to, some poor, unsuspecting court stenographer had to sit there. And then it was just like,
hilarious.
What do they got to say? And he would start speed talking. And the poor girls would be like, I'm sorry, what did you say? Did you say affiant or affidavit? It's like...
Can you read that back to me?
Yeah.
No, I cannot.
No, I can't, yeah. Wait a minute.
This was fun.
Wait a minute. World's
for a
fastest.
Jan Brady episode.
Yes, I just looked it up. It's John Moschitta Jr. It is M-O-S-C-H. No, that'd be in Italian, that would be Moschitta. M-O-S-C-H-I-T-T-A.
I believe it's Moschitta.
No, not Mr. Moschitta from The Karate Kid.
Somebody's name is not Moschitta.
No, I said Moschitta. But, the bread is in Italian, the bread is bruschetta, and we fucking Americans call it bruschetta, and it's wrong.
And they don't keep it in the fucking refrigerator.
We're back to that, are we? Back to that. But yeah, his name was John. I'm going to say John Moschitta Jr. was the speed talker. I already see some YouTube clips of him and all that, but yes. So this was fun. I hope you enjoyed.
Was it?
You got you got Jan Brady.
I did.
You got the Jan Brady episode, and thank you so much for the time to do a two-parter.
Oh, my God.
I greatly appreciate that.
A two-farter.
And,
Come on.
to Arter.
What?
Farter.
That's oh, wow. Really?
I
haven't heard that since third grade.
Well, you said it. Okay.
It's different when I say it, David.
It's different.
Now
Well,
I'd like
darling.
to have a bit of your nosh. What?
Probably the next time we are going to record our separate show that we put out on the Patreon. If anybody wants to become a Patreon supporter, go to
After this.
Patreon, and then you can hear the other show that we do called TV Talkaholics.
Yeah.
And for Let's Face the Facts, people, I believe we are next going to see you for Season 5, Episode 1.
And it is a two-arter.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't. Okay. What's it called? Oh, Brave New World. That's right.
Yes.
Brave New World Part 1 and 2. That's the conception of Edna's Edibles. And Matthew is so fucking excited for
This
Edna's
is
Edibles.
when the shows get good, everybody.
Do they?
Yeah.
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 All right. Well, while we ponder that, I will say thank you, smooches, and goodbye, darling.
Bye.
And there you have it. That was Matthew Arter. 2 shows, 2 parts, 2 weeks. And as I've said before, if you like hearing me and Matthew, you can hear our other podcast, TV Talkaholics, which we put out monthly and is at the moment exclusively available to Patreon supporters of the show, which is $3 a month. You can find that by going to patreon.com/facethefactspod. Down the road somewhere it will be made public, but probably not until I'm done with Let's Face the Facts. So we're a couple years away from that. One thing I did have to correct is that I did pronounce John Moschitta's name incorrectly. I don't know why I was saying Moschitta. I guess I had shit on the brain, clearly, literally. But even by Italian pronunciation, it would be Moschitta. So John Moschitta Jr. is the fast-talking guy who rised to prominence in the late 70s and all throughout the 80s. And he's still alive. He's 65 years old, and he's still working. And check out the website. I will post some videos of him. That's all for this week. Next week, I'm going to be watching Season 4, Episode 19, called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? And I'm going to be joined by another very special guest. That's all for now. Thank you so much for listening to this week's show. And remember, the facts of life are all about you. Let's Face the Facts was produced, written, hosted, and edited by me, David Almeida. My theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Our website is facethefactspod.com. You have to drop the let's. And that's where you can find extra pictures, video, and audio extras from the digital cutting room floor. Follow the show on social media. We're everywhere under the handle Face the Facts Pod. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/facethefactspod. And don't forget, go to your favorite podcatchers and subscribe, rate, and review. Tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.